Hello and welcome to Soda Tasting, an online show dedicated to soda reviews and appreciation. I'm Patrick O'Keefe. On this episode, we're going to do a blind tasting, but not just any blind tasting, a root beer blind tasting. And the reason that's special is because it was requested by 4 different viewers. It was requested by Richard Mont, mikeypaco, Kevin Saju, and candouidus. So thank you very much for the request. Thank you for supporting this show. I really appreciate it. And it's pretty cool when multiple people request the same thing. Not to say that that will dictate what I do next, but it definitely helps to push me in certain directions, and today's show is evidence of that. Now, if you're a regular viewer, you may notice that my background is a little different. I usually have a bookcase behind me, and you'll see books, but this time you don't. And the reason that is because I'm moving some stuff around, doing some spring cleaning, you could say. And so I have different stuff behind me, different kind of mess behind me, you could say. And I decided, why not just hang the Ghostbusters sheet up? As I'm sure some people will appreciate my Ghostbusters sheet, and yes, this is the sheet from my childhood that I used on my bed way back when. As I was a big Ghostbusters fan, still am a big Ghostbusters fan. And yeah, if you're a Ghostbusters fan, let me know in the comments. But you can expect to see this sheet for a few episodes in the future until I have everything behind me put back together. So, yeah, root beer blind tasting. I decided to do something different today. I mean, usually I have a nice mix between big companies, small companies, etc. And if you watch the show, you know I love everybody. I love small soda companies. I love Pepsi, Coke, and Dr. Pepper Snapple Group. I love everybody. I don't discriminate. But I decided to do something different today, and that is to exclude the big 3 root beers that we have in the U.S. And that's A&W, that's Barks, and that's Mug. Now, I fully expect to do more root beer blind tastings in the future. I'll probably do several root beer blind tastings. There's so many root beers. I can taste the same type of soda more than once. But to keep things manageable, I like to keep it to 4 to 6 sodas per blind tasting. And this time I decided to just stick with outside of the big 3 root beer brands. There's a big company here. There's Dr. Pepper Snapple Group and a couple of these. They're a big company. But as far as popular root beers, I decided to go with the maybe slightly lesser known, but still companies and brands that have a really good reach that you probably will be able to find near you, especially if you are in the U.S. So let's walk through who I have here today, or who we have here for our options. So we've got Boylan Root Beer from Boylan Bottling Company. We've got IBC Root Beer from Dr. Pepper Snapple Group. We've got Jones Root Beer from Jones Soda Company. We've got Harris Teeter Root Beer from Harris Teeter. And now that's a grocery store, and that's sort of the wild card here. I decided to throw in a store brand for fun. We've also got Stewart's Root Beer from Dr. Pepper Snapple Group and Virgil's Root Beer from Reed's. So Boylan, IBC, Jones, Harris Teeter, Stewart's, and Virgil. So it's a really nice mix, and I look forward to trying different ones. And this will be my first time trying a few of these. I know I've had IBC before, but I could not tell you when. It's been a long time. I can't recall ever having Stewart's. Can't recall ever having Jones. I've had Virgil's just once when I did the review of the Virgil's Root Beer Special Edition Bavarian Nutmeg. Besides that, not much. And I've never had Harris Teeter root beer. So really, I'm not that initiated in any of these, and 4 out of 6 of them, or 3 out of 6 of them, I can't recall ever having before. So this is going to be a new experience with a lot of these. Now, let's briefly run through some of the nutritional facts here, or at least the main ones. So calorie-wise, lowest calorie option is 160 calories, and that's IBC, Stewart's, and Virgil's. Then you have Harris Teeter at 165, Boylan at 170, and Jones topping out at 180 calories. Sodium-wise, Virgil says they have 0 grams, but that's not really, they do have 0 grams if you round down. They also said they have 1% daily value, so that probably puts them somewhere around 25 milligrams of sodium, maybe a little more, depending on the rounding. The other ones are more specific. 35 milligrams for Boylan and Jones, 38 milligrams for Harris Teeter, 51 milligrams for Stewart's, and 65 milligrams for IBC, the highest sodium count. As far as carbs and sugars, the lowest is Stewart's, 41 and 41. That's 41 grams of carbohydrates, and 41 of which are sugar. Boylan and Virgil's are both 42, 42. IBC is 44, 43. Jones is 46, 46. And then you have Harris Teeter topping out the carbs and sugars at 47, 47. Caffeine, all of these are caffeine-free. That kind of is typical of root beers, though there are some that do have caffeine. And finally, as far as sweeteners go, we have cane sugar in Boylan and Virgil's. We have high fructose corn syrup in Harris Teeter, IBC, and Stewart's. And we have inverted cane sugar in Jones. So a nice mix there. If you're wondering where I purchased these sodas, I think I bought all of them at Harris Teeter, except for Boylan, which I bought at a Cost Plus World Market. And as this is a blind tasting, I don't know what's in front of me, and I have to say a special thank you to my brother Trent for setting this blind tasting up and putting the results, putting the numbers and the names in this envelope, which is sealed, and I have not seen. I do not know what is in front of me, so I'm looking forward to diving in. Sometimes people like me to make a note of carbonation, so for those curious about that. Most carbonation probably in 1, 3, and 5. They have kind of the most consistent carbonation as far as top to bottom bubbles. Then you have number 4 and number 6. Again, similar, a little less carbonation, but similar coverage. A lot of bubbles, but smaller ones. Number 2 appears to be the least carbonated of the bunch. There's bubbles there, top, bottom. A little bit of bubbles on top, probably the most foam on top, except for maybe number 6, but maybe the least carbonated of the bunch. I'm full of root beer, and yeah, I said full. I think a lot of times when people see this show, they see me spit, they think I don't swallow anything. I do swallow a little bit. I just let the rest kind of bounce around my tongue a little bit, and then I spit it out. So here's my thoughts, a little bit of tasting thoughts before I tell you my order. You know, 1 was okay. It had a little bit of extra licorice note in there, I think, or something extra I didn't like. 2 was really sweet and almost too sweet for me, I would say. Almost one of those root beers I would drink, you know, and be fatigued a little bit. I think that's one thing about root beers is I tend not to want to drink a ton of it. It's rare when I do, and there are certain root beers that I'm more sensitive to than others, and the really sweet ones fall into that category. So 2 is really sweet. 3 has kind of a weak flavor that went away fast for me. 4, not super strong, but pretty smooth. Number 5 is just licorice. Licorice. It's like drinking licorice to me. Number 6 also was pretty smooth. Overall balanced. 4 and 6 to me, I had a lot of balance, I think. That's where I kind of like the root beers, I think, is balancing out that sweetness with those other elements that you get in a root beer. And so, here's my order. Here's how I rank them, my personal taste. My least favorite here is number 5. Number 5 is my least favorite. Absolutely, too much licorice. I just don't like that flavor. I don't even like black licorice candy, so I don't like drinking licorice. 5th place is number 1. Okay. 4th place is number 3. 3rd place is number 2, and now it's between 4 and 6. Runner-up is number 6, and the winner is number 4. So this is my order here: 4, 6, 2, 3, 1, 5. Now, without further ado, let's see what each of these is. All right, so let's go through. Let's go bottom to top. Last place, coming in last place in my root beer blind tasting is Virgil's Root Beer. And I'm not terribly surprised by that because Virgil just has that licorice thing going on, and you either like it or you don't. Me personally, not a big fan. 5th place was Boylan Root Beer. Okay. 4th place, that's number 3. Number 3 was Harris Teeter Root Beer, so there's the store brand coming in 4th place there. Third place, number 2 is Jones Root Beer. So that leaves us with, what do we got here? We got Stewart's and we've got IBC. That leaves us with Stewart's and IBC. So, here we go. The runner-up of my root beer blind tasting is IBC Root Beer, which means that the winner is Stewart's Root Beer. So the winner of my blind tasting, Stewart's Root Beer. The runner-up, IBC Root Beer. Dr. Pepper Snapple Group taking the blind tasting there, I guess. It was interesting to try these root beers. Like I said, haven't had this or this or this ever. Or Boylan, I should say. Actually, you know what? I said earlier it was 3 out of 6, but actually it's 4 out of 6 that I hadn't had. just a little bit of Virgil's and IBC in a distant memory. I don't even know when I might have had it, but I'm sure I did. That's just my taste on it. I'd love to hear from you. Here's a question, or a couple questions. What of these 6 root beers, which ones have you had? And then of the ones you had, what's your favorite? You can't say that you don't like this or you don't like that if you haven't had it. So let me know what you've had, and then of those, what's your favorite? You can let me know in the comments on YouTube or on sodatasting.com. Once again, thank you so much for the requests. Richard Mont, mikeypaco, Kevin Saju, and candouidus. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate your support of the show. Subscribe to receive new episodes of Soda Tasting via YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, RSS, and email. Find links to all of those options at sodatasting.com. Thank you for watching, and as always, everything in moderation.